So let's start, okay? Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the GRIPS Forum. My name is Izumi Ono, Professor of the National Graduate Institute for Policy Studies here at the GRIPS. I specialize in international development policies, and I will be serving a moderator today. GRIPS Forum aims at informing policy debates by inviting leaders in various fields. It is a public event. At the same time, gives our students the opportunity to join and benefit from lectures and discussion. We live in a complex and unpredictable era. We cannot find out solutions only from the known experiences. We need visionary leaders with innovative ideas and entrepreneurship spirit to create a better world. But how can we foster such a talented, risk-taking, and motivated individual? Dr. Sachiko Kuno, today's speaker, is an exemplary person and a role model, being a scientist, serial entrepreneur, social investor, and philanthropist. Dr. Kuno began her career in the academia. She studied biochemistry and biochemical engineering as one of the few Japanese female scientists. She obtained PhD from Kyoto University and conducted postdoctoral research in Germany. She then transformed herself into an entrepreneur and made a great success with 2 new drug development and IPOs, both in the United States and Japan. Subsequently, she established foundation and social impact fund to support startups. For such brilliant achievement, in 2015, she became the first Japanese woman selected by Forbes magazine as a top 50 most self-made successful woman in America. And then world 100 most powerful women by Forbes Japan. So based on her real-world experiences, she is currently working to develop the next generation of entrepreneurs through Halcyon Incubator, which is a social entrepreneurship support program based in Washington, D.C. in the United States, and Phoenixi, residential entrepreneurship support and development program launched in Kyoto, Japan. So taking advantage of her annual visit to Japan, we would like to learn what has made her a successful visionary leader and explore the secret of how to create such a multi-talented leaders. Dr. Sachiko Kuno will speak for about 45 minutes on this topic, Think as you leap, Prove as you crawl, ecosystem that creates social impact. And then following her talk, we will have a panel discussion with GRIPS faculty member and students. Then we will have open Q&A session with a wider audience. This is a hybrid format, so the participants at this Sokaido Hall are welcome to raise their hand, and then online viewers can send your questions to the Q&A box. The presentation and discussion of this session will be recorded and then made available later. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Sachiko Kuno.
Good evening. Thank you so much, Ono-sensei, so kind introduction, and thank you so much for giving me the great opportunity to be here, and Ota-sensei and other senseis. That is great opportunity and my pleasure to be here. So my name is Sachiko Kuno, and I left Japan 27 years ago as most likely that first generation immigrant to the United States and to establish biotech company. And before that, I have several experience in Japan to study and basic sciences and also some sort of the startup company. So that today I would like to share my story and my experiences with you, and so that you can see and how I created a company and how I sought to solve the problems and how I am fortunate enough to see so many people who help me or who inspire me to moving forward. So today's title that I select and think as you leap and prove as you close. So that is in Japanese and Tobu yo ni kangae, how yo ni shoumei suru. So because I was educated as a scientist at Kyoto University, and we are always told in how important you could create a hypothesis and how important you could prove that. So I selected that title today. And also I'd like to introduce what I'm doing in the past 10 years or a little more than 10 years and about the ecosystems. And based upon my experience I have in Japan and in the United States as entrepreneurs, that you create some sort of ecosystem, and eventually that is the incubator for the social ventures. So I'd like to talk about that ecosystem I'm now operating in Japan and as well as in the United States. Okay. Okay. So I have around the 40 minutes or 45 minutes today. So the first of all, I'd like to share my journey, how that was easy, how that is not so easy as well. And the second agenda, why do we need innovation and social impact businesses? I think so many people already are aware of that, how important innovation is to create to make the world better. But why do we need innovation and why do we need social impact businesses? So that is the agenda 2. I'd like to talk about that. And number 3, how can we be entrepreneurial? So again, you must be always told by so many people you are very much important to be entrepreneurial. But how can I do that? So I'd like to share with you several slides to explain how we can be the entrepreneurial. So that is number 3 in my agenda today. And the last agenda, number 4, is what is the future in the 21st centuries. So now we are getting into already more than 20 years since 21st century starts. So what kind of future we will see? And most likely that is almost impossible to predict what kind of the future we would have. So that is a different world we would see. So I'd like to share with you again and how we can be preparing and to the future in the 21st centuries. Okay. So my journey is chapter 1, and as we already, I already said, and I would like to become a basic scientist at Kyoto University, and I went to the Technical University of Munich in West Germany around those days, and then several other institute and I studied. But one day I met some invention or discovery, so I would like to change my career from the scientist and the basic scientist to be a little more the business side. So through those experiences, and I and other co-founder, Dr. Ryuji Ueno, established 2 companies. One is Altec Ueno in Japan, another one is Sukampo Pharmaceuticals in the United States. And the third company is, I am not the founder, but BLP Therapeutics, that is a vaccine creating company. And we became the first investor and co-founder to create the BLP Therapeutics together with the founder, Dr. Wataru Akahata. So I'd like to show several the slide later. And now what I'm doing, and especially past 10 years or so, since 2012, when I have the chance to step down from the everyday business, so until then, I'm so busy and I'm enjoying to do that, those businesses. However, and 2012, when I had the chance to step down from the everyday business, I thought what would be the next thing for me or what I can do for the next 10 years or so. So I like to share what I experienced in Japan and in the United States to be entrepreneurs, and especially female entrepreneurs. So that is the things, why I started the incubator. One is Harrison Incubator that is located in the United States and in Georgetown, Washington, D.C. And another one is very interesting, the foundation, the organization that's called We Capital. That is made by women for women and with the women. So that is the investor side, how we can create women to be the investors for the women. Okay. And then the 2017, I have the chance to come to Japan, so that to be the adjunct professor at Kyoto University, so that until then I did not have the quite enough chance to think about the Japan or Japanese academia or Japanese business, also how we can create a new business model in Japan. So the past 5 years, 6 years, I'm more focusing on the Japan side and how to create entrepreneurs in Japan. So that is a very complicated, and however, there is the several the points, and I wrote in that. That is 3 impactful, inspired moment I have. So I went to the Kyoto University. That is the very big step for me to come from the Yamaguchi Prefecture to Kyoto. And also that I have a chance to go to the Munich. So that my professor assisted me to come to go to the Technical University of Munich, because I am the first student for him, first female student for him. And he was not sure that what he can do for me to be the basic researcher or basic scientist. So she recommended me to go to the Munich and to see some more people, the female researchers, the female professor, the female student, how they can think about their future. So that is a great opportunity for me, and also that's kind of the life-changing or eye-opening moment for me as well. And coming back to Japan, and when I got the PhD, I have the third inspiring moment through the ERATO research the program. That is a kind of new technology development corporation of Japan, JST's first project, ERATO. So that is another very important moment for me to change the thought and to change my future for being the scientist, not only the scientist, but also the business person. And I like to share this slide. So I said, and I was graduated from the Kyoto University, and so that I spent almost 10 years there. So that the Kyoto University, and it's been said that academic culture of the freedom, 自由の学府, the Kyoto University has. So I think, what is the freedom for us? And I think normally that could be or should be freedom to think, and freedom to determine, freedom to execute, freedom to accept the consequences. So that since when I was a student of the Kyoto University, I was always thinking about these 4 steps of the freedom. And of course, in the Kyoto University, that we are always told that think and learn rather than being taught, or starting from the intuition, curiosity, or hypothesis, rather than just studying or just being taught. So I think that is a very important concept for me and for my future. And now I think it is almost 50 years since I became the Kyoto University as a student. But anyhow, so this is our discovery. And when I was 31 years old, and I met the discovery as well as this wonderful, the co-founder, Dr. Ryuji Ueno, and also the inventor of the Proston technology. That is the key technology and the key discovery and for to move forward to have the two different entire new medicine. So that is a very important discovery. We believe that around 1986, when I was 32 years old. So since then, we became the business person and, of course, science-based business person and the business companies we created. And two companies, and one in Japan, another one is in the United States. And the quite fortunate thing for me is not only that I made a company and that can be listed at NASDAQ, listed at JASDAQ, or some sort of profitable company we made. Rather than that, and I always think I am the luckiest people in the world because starting research and as a scientist and to see and to entire process and from the day one at the bench side and to the launch of the product, and that can be used for the patient at the bedside. Let me skip this one. This is why that Dr. Ueno had this invention. But anyhow, that both of us and some young people that believe that this discovery could be the great potential, could have the great potential, and that is a great starting point for us to think about creating an entire new medicine based upon this. The very much powerful invention. So history of the Proston, why was it found? I like to say that before the 1980s, Proston was considered to be biologically inactive compounds, inactivated metabolites with no bioactivity. But so what Dr. Ueno has found or had as idea is when something happened to cells, this Proston could have the new activities or to stimulate the cells, damaged cell, or to repair the damaged cell. So that is a very big discovery. And also that's one of the luckiest things what I had around those days is I met this young lady, the Misako Nakata, is a kind of IP genius, I call this. After that, over 1,000 patents successfully obtained by her. So without her, that we could not have such a successful medicine and based upon the basic invention. So this is the chemical formula, and so the prostaglandin is the prostaglandin is the naturally occurring and the product in the body. So you might have in your body, but 2 steps down, the Proston that's supposed to be non-active, just the compound. But eventually, Dr. Ueno's invention is to find out those type of the product that can be functional to create a recovery and load to the damaged cell. So based upon that invention, we created 2 products. So that is that I already talked about how we think to create a new medicine. But around those days, before creating a new company, and we are struggling where we should go and to raise money, or where we are available to create our own company, or at least our group. So the chapter 2 on my like is the becoming a biotech entrepreneur. And so that we switched the career to be a little more biotech business side and rather than the basic science side. The reason why is we thought, and so that if we want to make the entire new medicine, and academia is not necessarily the best place for us to do that. So we thought, and so maybe the giving up the career as a scientist, but I think that would be the first shortest way for us to reach the final goal. Final goal for us is to create a new medicine. Okay, so I think the first the company is Artec Bueno, but I think around those days, as you may imagine, that 1986, there's no way to create a startup. There's no venture capitalist or no bank which can invest as a new company. So what we selected is we selected the intra company startup style, so that we found a very good sponsor company. So under that, and we created a new research group, and so that we started to develop this product. So I think only the 15 people, and so that we have mainly the new graduate or I think almost retirement age. So this is a very dynamic and diverse group, and quite fortunate I have. So that based upon that, the 15 people, we started to develop this product. And one of the most important people I met is Yukiko, and who is now the president of the Phoenixi. That is a Kyoto-based incubator for the social ventures. But she was only 22 years when I met, so that everyone can be so excited and to work hard and to create the final product. And so that is, we started clinical trials 1988 and ended the clinical trial 92, only 4 years, and we established all data and to apply to the Japanese government, and we got the approval in 1994. So this drug is anti-glaucoma drug, and that is a quite successful drug. So why we can be successful for this drug and this cure? And I think that one of the important thing is serendipity, and I met Mr. Shinada, and who is Sankyo's retiree already, but he is a kind of the special person who taught me how we could create a new medicine from the science or something. So I think Shinada-san is already 65 years, and when we started, but he worked quite hard, and I am very much inspired by knowing him, so that our group is working so hard and to have the very good data from clinical trials. And also I'd like to mention that Fujisawa Pharmaceuticals, that is our licensee company, and for the marketing, that around those days, Dr. Aoki is the head of the R&D of Fujisawa Pharmaceuticals, now Astellas Pharmaceuticals, and he encouraged me and encouraged my team to do the final clinical trials by ourselves. So we almost about giving up doing the clinical trial ourselves, but he very much strongly recommended for us to finish that. And that is very much, I think, important for me to make a decision we need to do, we can do, and to go to the final goal. But I think 2024 that we started to sell the rescuer in Japan. And I really would like to start the second trials or development for the second program we had. However, as you may see that in 1994, 5, 6, the Japan has started to struggle recession periods, so that we not necessarily understand why we cannot raise money, but I think that our sponsor company didn't want to repeat again, because around those days that we already had almost $100 million as a debt. So that's they, I think the sponsor company wanted us to pay it back and before starting some new product. So that is a very difficult decision for me, but I finally decided to go to the United States and to start our entire new US company. So that is the new startup company. So that is why I moved to the United States in 1996. So the second one is Sachiko Pharmaceuticals, and we started in 1996 in Maryland, USA. And that's the entire the new startup company. But quite fortunately for us in terms of financial backup, we started to receive the royalty from Japan, and by selling the Rescue as a anti-glaucoma drug. So gradually they're getting some royalty income from Japan, so that we used those royalty as new money and to start Sachiko Pharmaceuticals as well as a new development for the second product. The second product called Amitiza. That is gastroenterology drug. The product, and so that we started the clinical trials most likely in 1999, and we got final approval 2007 as 2006, I think 2006 or 2005, to get the first approval from the FDA of the United States. So that is I think around those days, the fastest approval period, and we had only 10 months FDA has given us the approval. That is approval rate, the letter. So I was not able to continue any clinical trials around those days because of lack of the money, lack of the financial support. So that is, if we had received some approval letter from the FDA, and if they required additional clinical trial, we were not able to do that. But anyhow, quite fortunately, FDA gave us the approval letter, so that without any additional the clinical trial, we can get approval. So that is a 2005, I think, and the first approval we had. So this is a very strong drug, and Amitiza, and I think in total, I think the Rescue was also the very strong the product. So that I think the total sales for Rescue is I think several $1 billion in total, but Amitiza is much more stronger product, and the final sales reached to the $10 billion or more than those. So very successful product, and quite fortunate we have. So that these two, the Kate River is my first full-time employee, who is only 22 years old when she came to me as an assistant. But she was so talented to handle the company, or to be very much brave enough to do the new things. And she became the VP, and we make our company public, and she was already very much successful the business person. But even after that, and she decided to become a lawyer, so she stepped down from the company position a couple years later and went to the law school, and she was now one of the most popular lawyer in the Washington, D.C. And another serendipity I have is I met Mr. Tada in New York right after the 9/11. So he was working for the Tokyo Mitsubishi Bank, and he decided to join us to be the CFO. So that without those people, we could not have made the company successful. So it's kind of a success story that I have. And however, what I was struggling is because both products quite successful. However, I needed to license it out to the mega farm company for selling the product. So that means I think the strategy or concept or where we go, that's final the determination we need to give up. And so the mega farm company wanted to make the strategy and that normally making profits and maximized. So around those days, I started to struggle, and is that what I want to do, or a little different? Because I wanted to create an entire new medicine based upon the entire new invention. However, at the same time, I really would like to give those wonderful the powerful medicine to the world, so that we have at least 8 billion people in the world. But normally the mega farm company only focusing on the 1 billion people, especially in developed countries. And I think that with relatively higher pricing. So that is a little bit difficult for me to move forward with them. So I decided to step down from the business and to start something else. So that is a third company, and I thought the vaccine might be the kind of the breakthrough for the world to access, not only for the infectious diseases, but also the cancer vaccine or autoimmune disorders. Because once you have the very good vaccine, you can reduce the cost for the treatment, and most likely 1/10 or 1/100. So that's, if we could have such kind of new type of medicine, a new type of vaccine as a tool to fight against very difficult diseases, I think I thought, and this founder, Dr. Akahata and Dr. Ueno as well, thought that could be I think, very strong tool to reach out 8 billion people, and we can share that science, and we can share the invention to create a new innovation we saw. So that is the third. Only the third company is still active, and the BLP Therapeutic is now focusing on the COVID vaccine, COVID universal vaccine, as well as a cancer vaccine. So what we thought as a scientist, I think that we always innovative in inventions, based on the innovative invention, but dreaming to create first-in-class new drugs. So first-in-class is there's no the previous drugs that can treat, that can cure the diseases. So that's based upon our invention, based upon our new idea. We always like to see and creating the first-in drug. So that is my story, but the past 10 years, and I'm doing a little different thing. So that is this agenda too. Why do we need innovation and social impact business? So I think that's innovation and social impact. What are the global issues? Because as I said, even though they're creating a new the biotech companies and creating a new the medicine, I think I would like to think about the global issues. What would be the global issues? So I think that's what global. I think that you are very much familiar with the global issues, but anyhow. This global issue describes as any social, economic, and political or environmental problems that affect the global community possibly in a catastrophic way. So the solution to global issues requires cooperation among nations. So difficult and complicated the problems. So the global issue is always difficult and complicated problem could be solved. So how can we solve the global issue? That seems to be very difficult to solve and very complicated to handle. To fill the gap that we need, I think that we are thinking that innovation is one of the key issues for us to think about, and the problem impact-driven innovation or disruptive innovation. So I'm going to show what is a little difficult thing, but anyhow, innovation could be one of the most important things for us to think. And also the entrepreneurial. So I think that some new idea one people raised, or one technology and some people that created in the garage or in the lab. So entrepreneurship might be the key issue for us to solve the global issues. So I think this might be quite familiar for some people, but is innovation continuous? Do you think innovation could occur continuously? I think that normally that we are thinking, if you have the first innovation, you need to think about second innovation and struggling and hard work and to create something new for having the second innovation. However, it didn't come to us so easily. Why? So I think that we are thinking that most likely first innovation and second innovation would be located in the different phase. So what we need to do to have the second innovation, so we need to leap. So I think this is the concept why entrepreneurs is pulling the innovation. So that, as you know already, so many startup companies are created by one people or two people or three people. Anyway, very few number, very small number of the people. So I think that the technological innovation and especially leap to the other phase, and we need to think about something very bravely, bold. So I think entrepreneurship is very important. So I think this can be another example you might be quite familiar with. So I think once you have some meetings or conference and talk and creating some report and creating some analysis, but you cannot see other way. Why? So too many people, and so that can pointing out what is the risks, what would be the weak points, what would be the approach, and that is not 100% secured. So that could reduce the possibility for the people to reach. Okay. So I think that is a kind of how we can think about entrepreneurship. And also this slide shows the innovation and invention. So as I said, some things that from the invention that individual has had, but not yet innovation happens. So the innovation seems to be this when society accepted that change, innovation could occur. So innovation-based or invention-based, but anyhow, that's another way, the seed-driven or needs-driven. So that you can see that from 0 to 1, and that can be done individual effort, discovery or innovation. That is the most likely the start-up the phase. So the leap to the I think that is a phase. So that's, however, if you stop that 0 to 1, you cannot create some impact to the society, and that can be changed by that innovation. So I think from 1 to 10 is proof of concept phase. 10 to 100 is output phase, or 100 to 1,000 or something like that could be the outcome. So I think that kind of process itself is called innovation. So the innovation could be created from some seed, or innovation could be created from the needs or problem when people think about. So but anyhow, the innovation will change the world. So that could be called the social impact. So the innovation is the paradigm shift, because society that can accept that whole invention or new idea and to change the world. So once innovation occurred, I think the world is already changed, and that's called a paradigm shift. Okay. So that is another thing about innovation and social impact. So normally that we started from the input and resource, and to have some activity and some result, that's output. But most likely the people are just thinking about input and output. However, if we want to have the innovation, you need to think about a little more expanded result. That should be outcome, that should be impact, and that society change. So I think innovation and invention is some sort of the fourth dimensional the phenomenon. So that is process of innovation. So, or I think that's so famous theory, the change theory here. And this slide, and I'm changing a little bit what kind of business model we are thinking. And when I studied the Harshon model, I think so many people said, and profit and impact model could be the 21st century's model. So the profit and impacts. So normally the people are only talking about the profit. However, we need to think about what kind of social impact we created by the business. So that is an entire new model, and so some people that is ESG model or SDG model or impact model or something. But I think now there are so many young people are thinking about that would be the 21st century's business model. As I said, in impact, you can think about economic impact, social impact, environmental impact, at least the triple bottom line model. But recently, we are thinking to add one more impact, and that could be academic, art, or curiosity impact. So that's how important we started from the curiosity. That means, as a human being, I think starting from the curiosity and to create some sort of impact. So the entire, some sort of impact that could be creating innovation for the people. Okay. Now, agenda 3, how can we be entrepreneurial? Okay. So I think that when I stepped down from the company, and the young researcher told me, and why did you feel so confident even before you started the project? It seems to be the very risky the business I did. So that is, I think the success rate is 0.01% in the biotech field, and you need to raise money, $100 million, $200 million, or sometimes $300 million, even without the launch of the product. So that seems very risky, but why you are not so feeling about that? So that I didn't have the answer that time. So I started to think about it, why I was able to do that. So I thought maybe one of those is I have a kind of self-efficacy in my mind, and also that what kind of risk reward and I could take. And so I think based upon those, considering, and so I started an impact ecosystem as a business. So this is a kind of the schematic, the slide. What kind of the summit you could see? So from the bottom of the mountain, so that even before going up to the goal, what you could see? So I think most likely that summit could be called a goal. Yeah? Something, and you could see from their goal, it could be called a vision. And going up and what kind of the way you take could be called a mission. And at the bottom of the mountain, so what we had or what we need to have is bold idea, all kind of the invention, or self-efficacy, or power to believe in yourself, or courageous risk takers, or team synergy, or hard work, and whatever that you need to create before the moving up to the mountain. So that's the completion of innovation in other way. And also, as I said, the risk-reward consideration, that is quite important for me to start something, regardless that is a risky thing or a less risky thing. So what I thought is, and also my professor, and when I went to the Georgetown University to have some business MBA course, the business classes, they said, I think that should be the different rules, and that should be applied. And when you think about the high risk, high return game, or low risk, low return, low reward game, and you need to think about what kind of the things that you need to think between risk and reward. So the teacher said that I think in high risk, high return is if successful, you could get high reward. And low risk, low return model you take, even when successful, you can get low reward. So that if you think in high risk but low reward, or low risk but high reward you would like to get, I think that my teacher said, my professor said, that seems to be the illegal issue, so that you should be very much careful about that. So, but anyhow, I think that the important thing for me and the wonderful thing for me that we can select the high risk, high return model, or middle risk, middle return model, low risk, low return model. And so that it depends on your age or your circumstances or where you are or kind of thing. So I think that is a kind of risk return. Okay, based upon those things, and I studied the ecosystem Harshon incubator. So I really would like to create a safe place to think, or I think facilitate self-efficacy or serendipity, promotion of the serendipity, or something like that. But I think that I thought inspirationally, what I thought is maybe we need extraordinary space. So sharing time and space in unusual place must be giving us some intuition, or must be some instinct or some new idea or something. So that is why that we have the old historic houses in Washington, D.C. So we changed those old historic houses to be a new place. So that we call the repurpose model. So the unusual place, but repurposing those things. So now, and we had a wonderful result, and since 2014, that we already have the 288 the ventures and $500 million raising capitals, and 92 million people can be impacted. Or especially, I'd like to emphasize that 6,000 jobs was created by our team. So I think that is the Harshon model, and quite successful. So that I'm lucky enough to have Kate and Ryan, my co-founders, and both very much I think that is kind of awarded by the Forbes and 40 under 40 or 30 under 30. But I think another problem came to me, and so that is I think even though the Harshon model seems to be the successful enough, we cannot get enough money, especially for the female created the organization, female created company. So that's, and we realized that only 2.2% of the money in the Silicon Valley venture capital would go to the female created company. So that is a very big gap. So that I was not able to believe in that when I saw that this data first. So that's what we did is in Washington, D.C., that we got together and all the business women and who sometimes start a company and sometimes big companies, but anyhow, getting together and to create our We Capital Fund that is for women, with women. So that is the very much successful. So now we have 25 companies invested, and 3 companies already a unicorn, and one company has invested more than $1 billion, something like that, so that we can show the result. And once we are brave enough to start something new, so I think that is one of the things I like to share. Okay. So the Japan style, that super ecosystem now. And we are coming back to Japan. I'm coming back to Japan and to create a new incubator together with other 3 founders. And so the Phoenixi is a Japanese model for the housing house. But in Japan, we do not have quite enough talent who are already thinking to start a company instead. So many talents are embedded in the university company or other big organization. So what we created is you do not have to quit the job. Instead, you can come in and to think about almost like start a company and entrepreneur could think. So that 4 months, the program we created and in Kyoto. And now that 64 people came in and 10 companies established and 170 million Japanese yen raised or something. So I think that this model could be showing us, even in Japan, this type of incubator could be working quite well. Yeah, let me just skip this one. So how can an entrepreneur is a big vision through small steps? Think positively, look forward, analyze the worst case, and dream of the best case. That is my 4 steps. And if I need to think about a big vision. So you can be an audacious entrepreneur, and once you understand the way of thinking to be entrepreneur. So I think I have only 2 minutes now, so that is, I'm going very much first. And what would be the 20? So I think I said now we are getting into the anthropocene. That's a great acceleration. Everything is exponentially increase. So everything increased now. So there is no longer the linear model could apply to what we want to see for the future. So, okay, can we find a solution for that? I think that is, again, the disruptive innovation or personal power and diversity and activities to be the visionary leaders. So I hope that everyone could think about the big vision, but at the same time, the small steps. So individuals more like academia or I think intuition or philosophy leader or something. And the society we need is innovations or logics or politics or something. But on both sides is very important for us to change the world. Okay. I think that you're already very much familiar with the leadership, so I would keep it. So I think the visionary leader for the 21st century should be the tolerant of the unknowns and the response quickly and bravely to the unexpected things, aiming to be the visionary and doer. So the visionary leader should be visionary and doer at the same time. And also, we are living in the world, no one knows. The future can be anything. So that's what kind of thing we need to think about, sharing universal value and philosophy, create a mechanism to connect colleagues and create a mechanism to avoid unnecessary competition, we believe. So triple win for the individual, the communities, and world could be our last the target to think about. So the next 30 years, what I'm thinking, I'm a little more philanthropic and economy or value revolution that could be occurred. And more players, new players, that could be a minority or could be the leader from the small countries or women or some sort of people who had not in the center of the system, but thinking differently and having the great ideas. So I think the next 30 years or so, you could be, or you should be the new player for making the world better. So I think this is the Harrison House, the core values: be brave and bold, be generous and risk tolerant, and future oriented and optimistic. Be humble and open, and mutually nurturing, and agile and flexible. That is a kind of value that we always see on the world every day. Okay, today's conclusion, I like to say that to make a better world, unleash your creative potential, please. And also the big vision. Please think about the big picture, but also at the same time, think about small steps. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.